In the wrestling world, the people are represented by two separate but unequally important groups. The wrestlers and bookers, who literally do all the hard work, and the fans, who endlessly nitpick and overanalyze everything they do. These are their stories.
It's Warhorse, and you need to shut your mouth, open your eyes, and clean out your ears, because it's time to listen to the Raw and Order podcast. That's right, they're bringing you the best in all that meaty podcasty goodness in one, what is it, an hour? Two? Who cares? Who gives a shit? You need to listen to it right now, or else Warhorse is gonna, roll your ass!
Welcome to another episode of Raw and wow, my voice is Raw and Order, the Wrestling Booking Unit, the only wrestling podcast on the planet, hosted by me. I am your host, Detective Mark Smarts, and I'm joined, will be joined eventually by my partner in crime fighting, District Attorney Vincent Kayfabe. But for right now, I do have RCMP JLB here. What's going on, man? How are you?
It goes good, sir. It goes. Can't complain. It is Sunday. That means it is the beginning of the week. That means we have Raw and Order WBU. That means there's plenty of crimes to give. It means there's a lot of things to unpack tonight, good sir. And I am ready.
Indeed, a lot of things to unpack. We've been kind of experimenting with this. I don't want to say different format, but a more relaxed format. Instead of talking specifically crimes or whatever, we just kind of do more stream of consciousness. So while waiting for DA Fabe to join, let's get rid of some of the things that we talk about right off the bat, like tatnusco.com, our podcast network that we're a part of. You can go to tatnusco.com. The link is in the doobly-doo. Wait until after the podcast, of course. But click on that. Check out all the other stuff on the podcast network. Check out some stuff about Tatnus. He's a kind of interesting dude. And then come back here. We live stream every Sunday night and Tuesday night at 10:30 Central Time. So join us for that. We also like to talk about our merch store. You can find that in the doobly-doo. You can find hats like this hat, shirts like this shirt, or like that shirt behind me. All sorts of fun stuff there.
Great for autographs.
Yeah, this shirt back here, I've talked about it before. I love it. I took that to Zello Pro. I've got like 20 different wrestlers autographed on there. They loved it. They thought it was the coolest thing ever. And now it's a unique product that I can wear if I want to, or display like I have here. I got Jonathan Gresham and Jordan Grace and Chelsea Green and Billy Gunn and Austin
champion Jonathan Gresham, mind
ROH
you.
champion, yes. And a bunch of others, Billy Gunn, Austin Gunn, GPA, a bunch of people on there, all sorts of fun stuff there. So, and that's so unique because it's only mine. Warhorse, who just gave the intro to this podcast, his signature is on there. He signed on spot number 9, and he added a 6 before it. And then he drew a little Warhorse. It's awesome. But speaking of Ring of Honor champion Jonathan Gresham, today was the debut pay-per-view for Terminus, Jonathan Gresham and Baron Black's new wrestling promotion. I don't know if it's really a full promotion, but they're going to be doing events.
An event for now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it looks like they're doing another event in April, I want to say is when they announced.
Okay.
Based on something that happened at this, and I don't want to give too many spoilers or anything on this. You can still go on Fight TV and buy this, and I believe it's just $15.
Really? Let me check that out.
Yeah, I believe it's just
on
$15 on Fight TV. Yep.
You're just gonna see my forehead. Apologies.
That's fine.
You can tell me about the cresses and the wrinkles later. It's Fight Night 15. No, not that. Jesus.
And let's see, pro wrestling, hard times. And the thing is, because it's over, already.
What is it called? It's Temnis? What is it?
Terminus. So yeah, if you go into replays, You can find it Terminus. All roads lead to here. $14.99 US. So of course, Canada will have
like $19. Yep.
Yeah, a little bit more. But
I mean, whatever. Just check out the card if you like what you like there.
Yeah.
Different kind of wrestling. I wonder how the cameras are, the lighting is. I
mean, here's the deal:
like a typical.
It's an indie wrestling show, and so you gotta take it to indie wrestling standards. It's not gonna have the slick multicam, WWE, even AEW sort of stuff. But the card. I'll go over the card for the night. And like I said, I'm going to try not to spoil it so people can watch it. But you have let me find the start of the card here.
It would help. Usually starting at the beginning always works.
Yeah, the problem is that this website I'm on lists it backwards. So
well, they're half-assed backwards.
Yeah, in fact, it's not even backwards. It's just all kind of mixed up to it. But Lee Moriarty versus Josh Woods. Apparently, it was supposed to be Lee Moriarty versus Jay Lethal, but for some reason or other, Jay Lethal wasn't able to be there, so Josh Woods. Moose defending the Impact World Championship against Mike Bennett. Diamante versus Janai Kai. JDX versus Daniel Garcia versus Invictus Cash versus Adam Priest in a terminal elimination match. So it was an eliminator match with one winner in the end out of 4. Right? Dante Caballero and Joe Keys versus Tracy Williams and Fred Yehi. Jordan Grace versus Kira Hogan for the Impact Digital Media Championship. Bandito versus Baron Black for the Ring of Honor World Championship, the official World Championship. And then the main event was Jonathan Gresham versus Josh Alexander for the Ring of Honor Original World Championship in a pure rules match. Now, like I said, I don't want to give anyone spoilers. I will say, though, that the ending of the main event match did feature an appearance by an AEW star challenging the winner for the next event, which is how we know the next event's date and time.
And you're not even going to spoil it?
Well, I mean, I'll spoil it if I'm asked to. Nope, I didn't hear an asking, so no spoilers.
Stop! I wanted you to say it. AEW superstar? Is it someone big? Is it John Moxley?
It is not John Moxley.
It's me!
It's me! It's not John Moxley. We're talking about Terminus really quickly here because we were filling some time waiting for you, but it's not as big of a star as John Moxley, I'll say that much. But it's kind of a big deal for someone from AEW to show up at this show and walk in.
So it's me. It'd be a big deal if I showed up to
but
I feel like it's a bigger star. Yeah.
I will say he is a star that I have his action figure sitting on my shelf above my shoulder here.
Ben Fowler.
AEW star.
Future AEW star Ben Fowler.
Sitting right above my shoulder here.
Superman.
With a Puerto Rican flag over his shoulder.
Oh, snap. It's
Sammy Guevara.
No, Sammy Guevara does not have the Puerto Rican flag because he's a Spanish god, you dick.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it's very.
So it was Santana showed up and challenged for it.
Oh, nice, good for him.
And so still, like I said, not a huge, not the biggest star. It wasn't Kenny Omega. It wasn't John Moxley or whatever. But it's a big deal because he challenged for the Ring of Honor original world title match, title belt.
Yeah, if anything, it gives him a nice little push too. It makes. It sells him even off AEW as well. So that's pretty badass.
It does also make me wonder if we aren't going to see some sort of overlap between Impact and AEW and Terminus in some ways here. Like having Jonathan Gresham show up on AEW to talk about it and whatever. And so, But there's a lot of fun things. And, of course, like I said, Moose defended his Impact World Championship against Mike Bennett. And and the Digital Media Championship, Jordan Grace defended it against Kira Hogan. And so on this terminus, there were Ring of Honor belts being defended and Impact World Championship belts being defended. So there's kind of some neat things there. There also was, I mentioned Daniel Garcia was in there. He is currently AEW. You had Moose, who's currently signed, of course, Impact. You had Mike Bennett, currently signed nowhere, but showing up on Impact, I guess. Kira Hogan has wrestled for AEW, but she's on a per appearance deal, apparently. Baron Black also has wrestled for AEW. And Josh Alexander is currently an Impact World Champion, a former World Champion, and trying to get back into the race. So there's a lot of nice overlap there, and I'm kind of excited for that. So the next one is, I want to say April 4th. I'll look, but the big thing, the reason I really want to talk about it is $15, right? You can go on Fight TV, you can watch this for $15, right? That's less than I would spend at McDonald's because I'm fat. Yes. A lot of people can spend less than $15 at McDonald's. Not this guy.
No. Rose. I'll pay more to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You will pay more to go somewhere else.
Hashtag still not sponsored McDonald's. You want me to promote your food?
Really? You're going to promote McDonald's just so they can pay you? Sellouts.
I'll promote anyone who pays. That's how promotions work. That's the whole nature of them here.
I will literally shave if Harry's Razors decides that they want to sponsor us.
Oh my God, you would look like you're 15 if you shaved. I'm going to try to get that to happen.
I mean, I've seen him shaved. He doesn't quite look 15. I look pretty close to it, but he doesn't quite look 15.
In fact, I have beautiful hair when it's cut. And I will shave my head if Harry's Razors sponsors us the same way they sponsor whoever else they sponsor.
But my point is not talking about McDonald's, although I'll point out you are entirely correct. You will pay more to eat someplace else. That is the way it works.
Yes.
But you will get better food.
Except for CC's Pizza, where you don't get better food.
Yeah, true. But you will usually get better food when you pay more to go someplace else. I was pointing out that about the only place that I can eat a fulfilling meal at my size, because I'm huge, is like Taco Bell for less than $15. I can get a fair amount of food at Taco Bell for around $10 and be happy. So
the beefy 5-layer, 3 of those will pull it off, and that's less than $5.
Yeah, I mean. We use quotation marks around the beefy, but it's still filling.
I get it.
Yeah. Anyway, $15 to watch Terminus on Fight TV on replay. Just do it. Do it instead of watching Raw tomorrow night. You'll probably be happier.
Speaking of which, was that your crime?
Well, like I said, we're kind of been trying this a little bit more freeform, where we're not really doing crime. But that was the first thing that I wanted to talk about. I did want to bring into WWE territory something that made me at least, I don't want to say it's a crime, but it's something worth talking about. In an interview with the Toronto Star, they did an article talking about the rivalry between WWE and AEW. And there's a specific quote that garnered a lot of attention. And in it, WWE mentions, they don't specifically mention AEW by name on it, but we know exactly what they're talking about. They say, quote, "If you look at the gory self-mutilation that bloodied several women on the December 13th event on TNT, it quickly becomes clear that these are very different businesses. We had an edgier product in the Attitude Era, but in a 2022 world, we don't believe that type of dangerous and brutal display is appealing to network partners, sponsors, venues, children, or the general public as a whole." Now, the thing I want to point out in there, it's very important from a wording standpoint, they did not say their fans in that list. It shows the priorities here. Network partners, sponsors, venues, and children and the general public. But at nowhere in there did they say, we don't believe that is appealing to our fans. Which I would argue that it is still appealing to fans, all fans of professional wrestling, for the most part. I'm not saying they like that match all the time, and they might not even have liked that match, right? But here's
I would say all fans of cinematic adventure. I mean, here's the deal: if you're watching an action flick, a horror flick, I'm trying to think of other types of flicks that have blood and guts and gore and
a thriller flick.
Thriller.
Really, any flicks,
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal.
Love stories are pretty much the ones that don't.
Well,
Right.
What is the most successful R-rated superhero movie? It's Deadpool, where people's heads literally get chopped off regularly, right? And it got a sequel, and it's getting a third one, and it's probably going to be in the MCU canon somehow-ish, wibbly wobbly stuff. So. But I also would like to point out, though, at the same time as WWE is making the statement, not too long ago they had Randy Orton light a wrestler on fire, and they had a storyline with Seth Rollins poking people's eyes out.
Right.
So they
that's why
obviously
some
say
fake fans. Yeah, I don't know. We're trying to take
those-
a jab.
The lighting the person on fire was not on network television.
No, it wasn't.
However, the poking somebody's eye out multiple times
was on network too. But it doesn't matter because in the end, they specifically they say network partners on this, but they aren't saying that it's because of the network television and all of that stuff. They're saying that they don't believe it's appealing to the general public as a whole. But again, I'd say the important thing is they're leaving fans out of that equation. Fans are not what they're caring about. That's a thing. Now, in that same article, Tony Khan was interviewed. And I'll point out, people like to throw a lot of shade at Tony Khan and AEW, saying they keep attacking WWE, they keep bringing WWE up and things like this. But when I watch and look at this stuff, 9 times out of 10, it's WWE throwing some shade at AEW, but not mentioning them by name. But just saying like, well, they do this blood and gut stuff, and we don't think whatever. In this same article where he was asked specifically about competing with WWE, Tony Khan's response was, quote, "The plan was to put on the best wrestling show on television. When we started, we had a great roster and a lot of great people, but there was more parity in the world of wrestling in terms of where people were signed. Did I expect that we would be competitive with the company that was number one in many of those metrics? Yeah, I did, and it's gratifying that we have been." Notice that in that quote, he doesn't throw any shade. He doesn't even say, we feel like they were putting on a subpar product and only getting by on. He doesn't say anything about it. He says, I was hoping to be competitive and I was hoping to be the best wrestling show on television, and I feel like that I've been proven right in some ways. That's it, right?
Well, I mean, the numbers
They're
he's
both-
putting up are Raw level numbers right now, not Raw Attitude Era numbers, but Raw level.
But they're getting really close to Raw right now.
And the key to Raw Attitude Era is we didn't have the options of watching online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Raw Attitude Era probably only pulls 1 million to 1.5 million a week. And the reason being, we have Hulu, we have Netflix, we have the ability to watch it later, we have DVR. So I don't think any wrestling show is going to put up Raw Attitude Era numbers. And it's going to be difficult for any show that is not super mainstream sports or super mainstream television show, reality show, to put up those kind of numbers. 7 million viewers.
Yeah, honestly though, they're both petty fucks though, because Tony Khan does also say some shit too and all that. He said stuff in the past. He's not scot-free with not ever saying anything bad about WWE, you know? So let's call a spade here.
The thing is, I really don't hear. I'm going to be honest with you. He rarely actually has gone after WWE. He has gone after some things that they've done, but not specifically. But I point out they've lobbed him a softball that he could have come at it, and he didn't. He just said, "I wanted to put on the best product I could," and he did. Right. So you can throw all the shade you want.
Also, the most talked about match for about 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The one they're throwing shade based on.
Yep.
So,
but that's what I really want to say is, I mean, here's the deal. They're promoters. Their job is to promote, right? And I'm not really saying that WWE is wrong, because they're in a slightly different position than AEW. Number one, they're a publicly traded company, right? So that's really the thing that they left out of that really matters most to them is shareholders, right? And they may legitimately have worry that their shareholders won't like if they do that product on a regular. And at that point, they're not entirely wrong, right? But they need to at least be honest about it. Whereas AEW does not have shareholders. They have Tony Khan, and he's got one like silent investor that's his dad, right? And that's it. And so as long as they're keeping Tony Khan happy, keeping the dad happy, and keeping TNT, TBS happy, they're fine.
My bad. I don't know what that was technically. I have so many devices.
But I do also want to throw out that when we're talking in the world of wrestling right now, we had Terminus that had some great matches put up for. We've got a GCW event coming up in a couple weeks, right? The World on GCW. And I don't know if you've seen the card as it's developing for that. But I may have to get a GCW pay-per-view, right?
Oh, snap.
Matt Cardona versus Joey Janella.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Ruby Soho versus Allie Katch. Team Bandito, which is ASF Bandito and Laredo Kid, versus Team Gringo, Eras Demonic Flamita and Gringo Loco. Jonathan Gresham versus Blake Christian. Currently, when they booked it, Ring of Honor World Championship match, whether he's still champion after Terminus, it's up to you guys. Watch it. Briscoes versus TBA. They put out an open challenge. Now, I'm going to point out, we already have Ruby Soho from AEW appearing on this. So it opens up the match. You also have Joey Janela from AEW appearing on this. Opens up some crossover there. And then the main event is Jon Moxley versus Homicide.
Yeah.
For the GCW World Championship match. I'll also point out that during this, Matt Cardona, not in this, but in the lead up to it, they had a GCW event this weekend. Matt Cardona declared himself after winning his match the ECW television champion because that has not been defended in 20 years. And so he declared himself that, and then on the next night came out and said, well, I've been getting a lot of heat from this, and to avoid the cease and desist that I know is coming from Vince, I'm going to go ahead and vacate that, and threw the ECW television championship in the trash.
Oh, snap.
This guy, the balls on him.
Matt Cardona is a machine.
He is.
And he was squandered by Vince. He was a face machine. He is a heel machine.
He is building heat like you would not believe.
He is everything that is good and evil about wrestling in one person.
Yeah, that's valid.
So I'm excited for that. I might actually, check my finances and all that stuff, but might actually order a GCW pay-per-view for that.
Chelsea 469.
Yeah, that's the shirt that he wore out.
Both of them were out. Oh, okay. I would buy an OnlyFans for that.
I mean, in fairness, Chelsea Green has an OnlyFans, so,
Probably not that kind of OnlyFans.
Well, the only way to find out
is to become the only fan.
Well, I mean, I am
definitely
certain
not the
he
only
would
fan
not be the
who
only
would buy
fan.
that.
So,
little.
go ahead.
I'm going to throw some shade this week.
Okay, throw some shade.
I'm going to throw some shade at the two major promotions. One of which I think is doing very well on one of its shows, and I think the other one is meh. I would say both of them are that way. I think SmackDown is good. I think Raw is not good. I think Rampage is excellent. And I think Dynamite is redundant. Good. Still as good. Oh, I know. And here's where I'm going with this. I'm going to go on record. I really think that 2 hours is the maximum limit for a wrestling show, for a weekly episodic wrestling show. And an hour and a half might be the proper groove. In fact, I think I could watch 3 separate 1 hour shows easier than I can watch a 3 hour show.
See,
I believe that. Yeah.
I don't entirely disagree with you, except quality of show matters, right?
I agree. And Dynamite has been taking heat on all of the podcasts. Mm-hmm. And they're right. It's starting to have struggles segueing from segment to segment.
See, maybe that, but I'm going to come out here and defend. I did not think this week's show was nearly as low as some people were saying. I enjoyed this. It wasn't top tier, but it was a B+ show from beginning to end. And people are dragging it like it was a C- or a D.
This is SmackDown you're talking about?
No, this is AEW Dynamite this week. People are dragging it like it was horrible, and I just think.
But remember, Rampage was exceptional, and it is every week because the same reason Vince puts the same stars on every week. Because at the end of the day, there's only a certain amount of room for content. At the end of Rampage, I was like, Johnny Hungee, and when Rampage started, I was like, Trent's gonna die, and Trent put on the best match of Trent's career.
Yeah,
best singles match of Trent's career, and I thought Trent was going to die. And truth be told, most of the way through the match, I thought, is Trent going to die? And
see, and I'm going to slightly disagree. I mean, I liked Rampage, but I actually this week preferred Dynamite to Rampage, and I loved John Silver, the Beaver Boys back before they were in AEW. I really like him. And Trent Beretta, I love that he's allowed to be called Trent Beretta again. But to me, the storylines told on Dynamite were better than the storylines told overall on Rampage. Like, Rampage was a couple one-off matches, and Dynamite was setting up storylines, right? I know JLB disagrees with the thoughts on the CM Punk Wardlow ending. I thought it ended exactly the way it has.
I think that is an exceptional move. Like, that was the high point of that show. Mm-hmm. And it carries a storyline longer than their other stuff has carried.
Yeah.
The concern is that are they getting to a point where they're struggling to carry storylines long enough? And more importantly, if you have a 2 hour show, you have to carry a storyline. If you have a 3 hour show, you have to have filler with the ability to carry storylines, which is why Raw doesn't work and hasn't worked for. I mean, Raw works if you have writers that can write a 3-hour show every week.
This is why I
don't.
point out 3-hour shows, because you go back to the 83 weeks, the actual 83 weeks when WCW went to 3 hours for Nitro.
Yep.
They were 3 enjoyable hours, right?
Correct.
That's
where writing. That's where writing really comes in. That's where dedicated staff really comes in. I sent you guys, and I think the show had already started, and I wasn't here yet. But I sent you a video of the opening of a Nitro post NWO era, and on that opening, there were several things going on, and I think what Dynamite had done very, very well at one point, but now there's thought going into Rampage. At some point, what is the amount of time to oversee writing that an owner can have? We know that 5 hours is too much. We know that from Vince. We know that Vince had released a lot of that control at one point, and that's when it was at its best. And now that Vince tries to over manage everything, it's not at its best, and that's fine. Is Tony Khan's, because I'm running the whole company, because I'm overseeing everything? The Fiend has my screen again. That's fantastic. Anyway, because Tony Khan's got all this stuff going on, is Tony Khan due for releasing some creative control? And God damn it, you're so good at it, I don't want you to. But the same thing could have been said about Vince circa 2002. My concern is, did going to 3 hours a week hurt AEW? We know that 5 hours a week currently is hurting WWE. We know that if you wanted to keep Raw at 3 hours, you should have Raw, and then you should have a recap show. And a recap like they did with Fox at one point, or something along those lines. We know that two of us fell into liking wrestling because of a Saturday morning recap show that was an hour long with Todd Pettengill.
So I don't think AEW is close to it yet. But what I will say is, I don't think Dynamite or Rampage are good arguments towards them getting closer. I think AEW Dark might be the argument for it. AEW Dark was 90 minutes this week.
It's also tough to follow. Like
it's
because
really
they
tough
do
to
as
follow.
much storyline on Dark as they do.
Well, I think we've said it before on this show. I think the biggest problem with both Dark and Dark Elevation is they do have storyline, but they don't do any vignettes. They don't do really any interviews. They don't do hardly any storyline stuff. It's just match after match after match after match after match that are storyline related, but just boom, 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 boom. And so watching AEW Dark is, you get a match over, the match is done, and then you hear Taz or Tony Schiavone or whoever they have on commentary that be like, okay, coming up next, we've got this match, stay tuned. And then they play maybe a little commercial, and then they go straight to that match. And we criticize WWE for 20-minute long promos, and rightfully so. Mm-hmm. But there is also the other side of that coin of not having any promos.
Yeah, there's got to be a balance to it.
And so AEW Dark needs to be slightly less wrestling and a little bit more storytelling to kind of make up for it. But anyway.
Sure.
And I mean, those poor fans too. Okay. When I go to a Raw, all right, I know I'm going to be there already for 3 hours, but then you have maybe a few dark matches and thing. And honestly, maybe it's because I'm a bit older or whatever. I cannot do it. After a 3 hour Raw, I was dead. I had either dead from being bored, just because of the commercial breaks and whatever have you. But by 3 hours, I was done, to the point where I had free tickets to go see SmackDown, which was also in Montreal that time. And I didn't even want to go. I'm still exhausted
Yeah, you're lucky because SmackDown's 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they do 205 Live after it.
Yeah, but
They do
Raw
205
also
Live,
does.
and then they do house
And a house show. Yep.
a 1 hour house show. It's
Oh,
literally
really?
5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Yep.
and
speaking
so-
of SmackDown, I live in the town SmackDown was in this week, and
Did we
could
miss
have
it?
gone to and we missed
Gosh,
it. It was
dude.
here in Omaha. Like I realized last minute. I looked up, there were some decent seats for $20. I looked at my wife and I was like, I don't know if I have it. First of all, I don't know if I have it in me right now in the age of Omicron, right? To go to an arena and sit there for 5 hours with the mask on, because Omaha is in a mask mandate again, at least temporarily.
we're not going to get into the politics.
I'm not going to
of that.
get into the
That's weird.
politics of that.
That
but
is a really weird situation there.
yeah,
Both sides weird.
it's
This started
too-
when though? Just recently?
Yeah.
guys?
Wednesday.
So yeah. Well, Tuesday is when the health department. So here, the health department for the city announced a mask mandate. The mayor of the city then said, "Whoa, you don't have the authority to announce a mask mandate." The health says, "I sure do." The mayor says, "I don't think so." Then the governor of the state jumps in and says, "Nope, I don't think so. So here, I'm going to send the attorney general to file a lawsuit against it." So we've got the health department putting the mask mandate, and then a lawsuit being filed against the mask mandate to stop the mask mandate. So until the courts rule the mask mandate is in effect, if the courts rule that he didn't have the power to it, then the mask mandate disappears. Or if the courts rule that he did have the power, then it stays. Who knows? I'm not gonna voice on either side. I'm just saying right now there's a mask mandate.
It's a really weird situation in Omaha
Yes.
for that. And it was 24 hours. Like, mask mandate will go into effect. I think they announced it Monday. By Wednesday it went into effect, or Thursday morning.
No, it was
Wednesday at
Wednesday.
midnight. Wednesday at midnight.
Yes, Wednesday morning.
So 48 hours is the amount of time they gave from the announcement to it going into effect.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was
Now
very
that
fast.
being said, I will also point out that COVID is surging in Omaha, and hospitals are filling fast. So that's why that's the argument the health department has for it, is they're trying to slow the surge, and they're doing what they had to, and they feel they had to act fast. We won't get into whether or not the legality of it or whatever. I'm just saying it's a weird thing, and I just did not have it in me to go sit at
That's it. The anxiety of having the mask on and whatever, your kids at home and what happened. You know, it's a whole thing for sure.
Yeah.
That would explain why a lot of people, don't want to go out during that time and so on. Because it just already the show in itself can be exhausting. You have so many people around you, you know what I mean, and everything. And then
I think I saw attendance for this SmackDown was like 4,500 people.
Wow.
Attendance for Raw was over
Was that
7,000.
West?
CHI Health Arena is what it's called now, but yeah, the former.
Oh my gosh, I'd have tried to move to Baxter.
Yeah.
Just to fill up the arena.
But Raw did over 7,000, and SmackDown did almost 7. Not SmackDown. Dynamite did nearly 7,000. Like
what's
six,
that? What's the attendance
6,800.
there? The attendance for that arena venue?
For
like
wrestling,
capacity.
14,000.
Oh wow, so just half. Okay.
No,
No.
like 10,000 short.
Mhm.
Like lower
You said
bowl,
7,000.
14,000.
Yeah, but 7,000 were there. So
No,
half
for
of
Raw there
40
was 7,000.
4,500.
Only
were there.
4,500 for SmackDown. Which was
You're
huge.
talking
Okay.
lower bowl cam, off cam side. That's it.
Right.
So-
Okay. Damn.
They couldn't
So-
have even done the upper bowl there.
So while we're talking about WWE, I'm going to point out, I'm going to play a game I decided to start over the next few weeks, right? I saw this at Target the other day. This is a pack. It's got 11 packs of WWE Heritage 2021 trading cards in it. So in each episode, I'm going to let you guys choose which pack I'm going to open, and we're going to play a game as to A, do I get any decent cards at all? B, How many cards are we gonna pull that are wrestlers that do not work for WWE anymore?
Ooh.
That's going to be quite a few of them.
And so now keep in mind, there's special, you can get autographed cards. There are holo cards. There are special, what do they call them? Allen and Ginter cards, and all that stuff. But so out of 11, which pack am I pulling today?
4.
Yeah, it's 2-4.
Pack 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Pack number 4. Who's on the front?
It has got AJ Styles on the front.
Oh,
So
nice.
at least the character on the front is still employed by WWE. What's going on there? Is he permanent on NXT now? Is that...
He's going back and forth. I think they're trying to use him to build up that NXT star.
Grayson or something? Not Grayson.
Yeah, Grayson Waller.
Graysler or yeah.
Okay, so the first card in the pack is a question mark of all the days to pull this card, number 1.
Oh, that's
Because
hilarious.
that is another thing to talk about. Mustafa Ali announced today that he has requested his release from WWE.
Yep.
So he's still currently employed, but maybe not for much longer.
And hold on, while it's there, the card works with that. Let's talk about that.
Yes.
Because that was one of the bigger issues that happened today. He had announced it on Twitter that he requested his release. Then there had been reports from all the dirt sheets that him and Vince had an argument back in like November of he had given an idea for this new hero of America for SmackDown, and it apparently was approved, but then was rejected like 3 weeks later or something. And then Ali got really angry and upset, and him and Vince apparently had a heated argument.
And that role is going to be given to Otis.
Well, and then we
words,
basically
that'll be given
haven't
to Otis.
we haven't seen Mustafa Ali on TV basically since then. The thing is, I'm going to point out, there's of course already people who put together a Mustafa Ali is AEW thing or whatever. I'm going to point out his announcement, his specific, the way he announced it, says he's got a story to tell that he doesn't think he can do in pro wrestling in WWE. So there's a little bit of leeway to that statement that he might be thinking of taking some time off from pro wrestling entirely to tell his story in some other way.
Whether it's a book, a movie,
whether it's a book or a movie or something,
whatever. Yeah.
We do know that he was pitching for a role in the Blade, the new WWE, the new MCU Blade movie.
There's a new Blade movie coming?
Yeah, they're working on it. It's got Mahershala Ali as Blade.
Oh, just gonna totally scrap Wesley Snipes now?
Yeah, well, I mean, he is like
15 years.
Yeah, 60 or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, vampires don't age, and Wesley Snipes does.
Oh.
Yeah. But on top of it, the Wesley Snipes Blade movies were set in a universe that did not have superheroes in it, and to introduce Blade into the MCU now, it's got to be in a universe. So they're basically rebooting that. But
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
who's Blade though?
Mahershala Ali.
Oh, okay.
Who's a really, really good actor. I fully
but has
expect
already
it to
been
be
part of
really
the MCU. So
yeah, that's it.
in a way.
In a way.
Kind of a way, because he was in the Luke Cage movies.
I thought he,
All right,
I thought he
TV
was
show.
Black Panther.
I don't think Mahershala Ali was on Black Panther, but I guess.
I thought that's what they said when they released that was the person they were using.
But the thing is, there also have been uh, uh, other people who've been in MCU shows before and then show up in a different role later. So it's not wouldn't be the first time. But he was the main bad guy in the Luke Cage TV series
Maybe that's what I was thinking of.
on Netflix. That is sort of maybe canon, maybe not. They're really kind of wishy-washy on whether those actually count as canon.
Sure.
But
Wow, it only starts filming in July of 22.
yeah.
So not going to
Well,
be
yeah,
until
it's a
like
ways
end
off.
of the year next year. Yeah.
But so next card.
Okay. Almost. He will be with WWE for a while.
Yeah.
That guy's gonna be
More
around for a
specifically,
long while.
I feel like if he leaves WWE, we won't see him in another promotion for a while. So
Yeah.
the
Your
next
thoughts?
one.
Oh, I'll bring you back up.
I don't have it.
The next
Sorry.
one is actually part of a series of cards that this series is apparently focusing on. And I want to see where it says on the thing here. It says, where does it say? Look for exclusive The Miz Superstar Tribute cards.
A tribute from The Miz.
So the next card is a Miz Superstar Tribute for 2010 The Miz.
Oh, wow.
And he's a lifer.
And he's still with WWE. So far, we're batting 1,000, excuse me. We're hitting
it's hard to do
100%.
production value if you don't have your camera.
Well, no,
on there,
I mean
guy.
Mustafa Ali, kind of,
But he's still technically.
All right, Mr. Semantics.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm feeling this pack might be next one. This is one of Allen and Ginter's Seth freaking
Rollins. And this is Monday Night Messiah. This is the introduction of that.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't have to be like new cards, right? It just could be random packs of all of their cards that they have, correct?
Well, these are active 2021.
These are 2021 cards. These are all packs for 2021.
Which would have been produced in late 2020.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if it even has a date on here.
It probably wouldn't.
No, but sometimes
Might
they've
be on
got
your
a-
plastic wrap.
Yeah. Okay.
Mylar.
Next card, true to the wrapping, Allen and Ginter, AJ Styles.
Well, ain't that a phenomenal card?
Not a lifer, but probably will retire with
Yeah.
WWE.
Not a lifer since he started out elsewhere, but I feel like he's at that age where if WWE cuts him, he's going to be like, okay, I think I'm done. You know.
If he doesn't, it'll be a production role with a relatively stationary organization.
Mm-hmm. Second to last card.
Rhea Ripley. Ooh. Predictions. Any predictions?
I think she'll be with WWE for the near future, but I do kind of feel like she's on some thin ice with Vince. She's not the type of woman superstar that Vince typically carries.
She's released by fall.
I think she makes it through this year. But the thing is, I don't think she makes it back to championship again.
I think she has to be scarier to be championship level.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think they'll let her be scarier.
Yeah.
They want her sanitized for the TV, you know. I mean, the perfect example is that this really kind of shows it here. If you get her hair, it's slicked back and well maintained. And so despite her scary appearance, she looks like she's put together well. She looks groomed, right? You go back to her time in NXT when she was dominant, and her hair was spiky and edgy and kind of all over the place. And she didn't look groomed. She didn't look civilized. She looked uncivilized. She looked manic. And I think that's part of the thing.
I would so love to get uncivilized with her.
And then the final card in this week's pack.
Santos Escobar, NXT. I think he's gone as soon as his contract is up in his own mind.
I think he's with WWE for as long as he feels WWE is worth it to him. But he's much like AJ Styles, not a lifer because he did not start in WWE.
Well, I mean, neither did like Rhea Ripley or Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is now a lifer. I think that Santos Escobar will go somewhere else.
Well,
Rhea Ripley, AJ had so much of his career somewhere else that you can't call him.
Rhea Ripley had very little career pre WWE. She was one of those that was picked up at a tryout in
Britain,
Australia, because she's Australian. Tryout in Australia. She had a few like indie matches in Australia, but WWE is her only promotion that she's been with. Santos Escobar was in Lucha Underground. Santos Escobar had been in Impact Wrestling. Santos Escobar had been in AAA. Santos Escobar had an entire career before WWE.
Yes.
So that's why I don't.
And he does such good heel work. All they've done is give him a platform to make a lot more money anywhere he goes. Anywhere he goes.
Yeah, it's another example of great talent being underutilized for his true potential. Same with Rhea.
100% of the cards on that are currently still WWE superstars. Unfortunately, I will say a little disappointed. None of the cards were super cool. The Allen and Ginter ones looked the nicest to me.
But they don't gain a lot of difference between Sammy or between AJ and Seth.
Yeah.
If you hold them both up side by side, you're not really
well, and the thing
the
is,
photo's the only difference.
What you have to keep in mind now, apparently the Allen and Ginter ones highlight only people who've been a world champion, which I guess makes sense and limits a bit. But Allen and Ginter is a brand of cards that's really popular in like baseball cards, apparently. And so they have this very specific look to them. They're going to look the same. But these look about the nicest. I have to be honest, most of these other cards, their design looks like it's out of like 1989.
Don Russ tops battling it out.
Yeah, they definitely didn't pay their like card designer much to even attempt anything with that.
These a little disappointing.
Take photo, put a little border. Okay, that's it. Ciao.
A little disappointing overall, but I guess disappointed in something WWE. What?
Let me put my shock face on.
I am gonna have to do some searching to see if I can find the AEW cards in the area, because do some comparison there.
I really got to go check out the Walmart, see if I could find any AEW action figures. At least get like one or two.
You can also find them at some other stores now. They're not Walmart exclusives anymore.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, like, I found quite a few at the Targets nearby. But, you know.
Target closed down here. Target was here for like 2 years, and it was crap.
But
they should have just left Zellers. But
I mean, I found most of mine at Target. The Walmart near me tends to be really picked through. The Target is a little bit less. Like right now, I could walk into the Target and I could pick up a Riho or a Ortiz, and I know that because I looked at them and I'm like, yeah, I've got Santana. I really don't care for Ortiz.
Wow.
So
You might as well have the tag team.
I don't want the tag team. I want Santana to go off and be a superstar all on his own.
Wow. That's a dick move.
I want the best for him. I don't care about Ortiz. Ortiz doesn't do anything for me. Anyways.
Ortiz is the one that always bites the ropes?
Yes.
Yeah, he is kind of too out there.
I mean, he's just
agree with
not
that statement.
my thing. So, so like, meh. Anyways, what else did we need to talk about today?
So yeah, I mean, I guess just going back to the whole Mustafa Ali thing, with that being said, a lot of wrestlers have mentioned the same thing. The one most recent of Vince not necessarily taking superstars' ideas was, of course, John Moxley, who had mentioned that in his book and in various interviews that Vince just doesn't care what the superstars want and that Vince is just going to do what he wants to do. Yes, he is the chairman, so I get it. He wants complete control. But we were also alluding to, should Tony Khan maybe give up control a little bit and maybe give the wrestlers a bit more freedom, because he might very well end up like the future Vince McMahon. Not now, but, in a couple of years, 2-3 years down the road, this can very well be when you have too much control of something and you don't have an open mind within a company, you're gonna have a narrow-minded tunnel vision script and entertainment on your show, which is obviously what we are seeing with WWE. With bringing the reason why I kind of brought John Moxley into the picture, or should I say what was trending on Twitter, Dean Ambrose. A lot of people have speculations because of what happened on SmackDown with them showing the Shields, that Dean Ambrose is going to show up at the Royal Rumble. So I would like to just call it a crime, because it is one, on Twitter for doing this Dean Ambrose hashtag and upping this rumor reel that Dean Ambrose will show up at the Royal Rumble. Like, what?
Dean Ambrose ain't showing up at the Royal Rumble.
No bueno. No bueno.
No.
And here's the I'm not saying because I think Tony Khan would say no to it. Tony Khan would be fine with it if I don't think John Moxley wants to do it for control of his character and his likeness. He's worked so hard to separate himself over the last few years from the Dean Ambrose. He's not going to just walk back for a one-off at it, right? And we know his contract with AEW is not up to the point that he would go back full-time. So do I think there's anyone from AEW that will show up at the Royal Rumble? I can't say for 100% no. I seriously, I would not put it past Jericho showing up for the Royal Rumble, just to do a spot. Because Jericho is, at his heart, a promoter himself.
Right.
Whatever makes Jericho look better.
He's got a little boat going out here pretty quick. So.
Well, his third cruise has been postponed. I didn't
Still
hear
got
that,
a boat going out here pretty quick.
But
If it's in 3 years, he's got a boat going out here pretty quick.
Well, but even without the boat, he's got records to sell. He's got tours to sell out. He's got his books to sell. He's got a podcast to promote.
He did help the Broken Skull Sessions do something with Austin, you know.
Side note, they helped with the women's Royal Rumble by taking 3 competitors out of it and putting Lita in 1 week.
Who did they take out of it?
Liv, Dewdrop, and Bianca.
Well, they didn't take them out. They had not been announced for it.
Correct, but they can't be in it if they're in a
prior to that, it was the official announcement was it was going to be Becky Lynch defending against either Liv, Dewdrop, or Bianca. And so, you know, all 3 of them were not officially in the Royal Rumble prior to it. Now, again, we mentioned on our talk about Royal Rumble before, there's still a chance they could be in it. I mean, we've had people do
card
2
subject
matches.
to change.
And card jump, yeah, exactly. We've had people do 2 matches, you know, show up in a match earlier and then show up in the Royal Rumble.
In fact, Becky's been
Charlotte's in the match for Pete's sake. So I don't think she's going to have a title defense at the Rumble, but she does get to pick her opponent. So that's how we know now Charlotte won't just not defend. She's going to be able to pick her opponent. So she most likely won't win.
Side note, how many times has the actual title been on the line in a Royal Rumble match?
Twice?
I thought it was once, but you are correct. It's
maybe
twice.
Is it twice? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Triple H took the title off of Roman.
That's it. Yeah.
That's the one I missed. I knew Flair. Everybody knew Flair.
I mean, everybody knows Flair. So, so I agree with you 100%. No chance, to use a phrase, no chance in hell, John Moxley, a.k.a. Dean Ambrose, shows up in the...
He just wouldn't go back. If you give him like $5 million, the guy won't do it. It was so bad for his mental health. It's more the sanctity of standing up sticking up for yourself and your guns, and having that mental stability of not going back to a company that you felt treated you like shit for so many years. You know, there's anxiety in that, and so on and so forth. I don't think he would never go back. Never.
If WWE offers me $5 million to go to the Royal Rumble and get thrown over the top, and I have to be called Joan Moxley to do it, I will do it.
You'll do it. But if you do that, you'll have to experience 3 years of constant depression and people telling you can't do that.
I mean, I was going to do that anyway, so, you know, I guess.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure even Mox would be like, to steal money from Vince? Yeah, I'll mill mascaras this thing. Like,
you would, you know, John Lee, you'd be Dan Ambrose.
Dan Ambrose.
Dan Rios. You'll be S.A. Rios.
They own the name. They
long
can call
lost
me
cousin.
Dean Ambrose. They can have me come out to his music.
You could be a fake Diesel situation. That's fine. Yeah.
And it randomly plays Wild Thing. Still hate that song.
Well, they probably wouldn't be able to get the rights to do it because I would bet when Tony Khan licensed it, he licensed it exclusive for professional wrestling. So I would bet. Anyways, now they could.
They might get Born to Be Wild. They're like, all right, we'll do another Wild song. Born to Be Wild, Steppenwolf.
And they could do that.
I'm impressed. You know that's Steppenwolf. Proud of you.
Yep. I only know that because I was in a band in high school and we did a bunch of cover songs.
Oh, did you go on a Magic Carpet ride while you were there?
It was a whole new world for me, but I did not go on a Magic Carpet ride.
Why don't dream of me? That's Steppenwolf's best.
That's
song,
also
by the way.
Steppenwolf. Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay, I was thinking Aladdin. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, no, they had another song called Magic Carpet Ride.
Was that as popular though? No.
It's probably not to mainstream as popular. It is their better of their two.
It is okay.
Big hit singles.
I'll make sure to check that out then.
All right. Yeah, Magic Carpet Ride's a great song.
Okay.
It's used on the soundtrack to Reservoir Dogs.
Ooh, okay. So I definitely heard it before then. Reservoir Dogs is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, Reservoir Dogs is one of the movies that used soundtracks better than almost any other movie, and part of it is because in Reservoir Dogs, the audience is not the only ones listening to the songs. The characters in the movie are also listening to those songs, which isn't used by many movies. Only recently, the Guardians of the Galaxy movies kind of went into that. Baby Driver did it really well. If you haven't seen Baby Driver, it's actually pretty good, but part of the whole plot of it is he listens to music while he's driving the getaway car for these things, and the music that he's listening to helps dictate the rhythm of his driving. It's really pretty cool. Anyways, but we're not a movie podcast at this moment, so yeah, I know Dean Ambrose, John Moxley not showing up at the Royal Rumble. I think we all agree that that's not happening. No, again, there may be someone from AEW show up.
People are believing it, though. I was literally just having a game cast with someone from North Dakota, I want to say. North Dakota, and he's not even a huge wrestling fan, but he says he catches AEW and so on and so forth. But he's like, oh, I'm going to watch the Royal Rumble because I can't wait to see Dean Ambrose. I'm like, what? You don't even watch wrestling and you know of this stupid rumor? Like, and you're excited. I'm like, dude, it's not happening. I'm telling you right now, if you're going to watch the Royal Rumble for this, prepare to be disappointed. Don't watch it because of this, because Dean Ambrose is not showing. He's like, oh, but I want to see the heel shield. And he's a good guy, so I don't want to make fun of him or mimic him. But I'm like, dude, it is not happening. Yeah. Like, the fact that this guy
you say I don't want to make fun of him, mimic him, right after mimicking him and making fun of him. So
you say that, but
and there you do it again. Here I have a perfect example of why you see so many people buying into this. I have the perfect answer to this.
Do tell.
This is the answer. People want to believe. And when you give someone,
I want to break free.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
This is X-Files. I want to believe, but that's the deal. It's why people believe in alien abduction stories so much, or all this stuff, because they want to. And when you give someone who wants to believe it, because people want to believe that John Moxley will show back up in WWE at some point.
Dean Ambrose.
Yeah. When you give them a way that it can happen. And I'm not going to say we're not guilty of doing that on this podcast ourselves.
For sure.
We occasionally, go into our own little conspiracies and all that. But in the end...
That's because we also have a fantasy booking based off doing that. Yeah. So...
but like I said, I could see Jericho showing up in...
For sure. 100%.
In the Royal Rumble.
Only way that Moxley shows up or Dean Ambrose shows up is to interfere in Roman Reigns' match.
Mm-hmm.
No, I know, but that's it though.
That's not happening either.
Thinking. Yeah, that's not happening either. But
as well. By the way, Seth Roman promo.
Yeah.
Fire.
Come on, bring it in. Bring it
Fire.
in. Bring it in.
Fire.
Bring it in.
Fire.
Bring it in.
Oh, Jesus.
There we go. There we go. Hey, good Roman impersonation there, bud.
Thank you.
Stand there, look at it.
Doom, doom, doom,
This
doom,
is dumb.
doom, doom.
A perfect example of just talking about the Roman Seth segment. Roman right now is a perfect example of what the phenomena in professional wrestling that is, you just need a catchphrase sometimes to get over, right? Roman struggled to get over for so long until he was able to come up with a catchphrase that worked for him.
Acknowledge me.
Acknowledge me, right?
I acknowledge you. I've just beat you every time I've wrestled you.
But so that was the thing at this SmackDown this week. He said, Omaha, acknowledge me. And the crowd went,
4,500 of them. So it was like,
yeah. Yes, yeah, I'm like, and then the WWE piped in the rest of the Raw.
But I mean, at the end of the day, if he wanted to face a mega star, he'd go to Raw and face Becky Lynch. I was like, oh my God, this guy is on fire. Loved it. I absolutely love that promo. What a way to end SmackDown.
He didn't say Becky Lynch. He said your wife.
Your
Oh, he
wife.
said your wife. Okay. Didn't he say your wife, Becky Lynch? Or he just said your wife?
The important part is your
Becky
wife.
Yes.
Oh, so good.
So yeah. So we're gonna move on to something else that I know will fire up JLB here.
Ooh.
CM Punk versus Wardlow. I personally think it was done exactly how it needed to be done.
See, the problem is when
Exactly.
you listen to my other podcast for calling me a whore about it, you didn't listen to my full explanation of what I mentioned on that podcast. I do think they could have handled it differently because it does make it just seemed like they were a little flustered. It still can work, but I do believe if you would have made Wardlow win, it would have been the better move for both parties. Because
Wardlow went over either way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wardlow,
he powerbombed him.
Yeah. Powerbombed him 9 times.
He had the match won.
He had the match won. It was MJF who cost him the match, and that's what builds this feud. Even more than that, right? It builds the feud because Wardlow was undefeated going into this match. So he not only lost to CM Punk, he lost his undefeated streak because of MJF.
Right.
But even more than that, the match with MJF versus CM Punk means more when CM Punk is still undefeated, right? Because here's the deal. You have to think bigger picture on this thing. This whole storyline is about building MJF. Let's take everything out of this. In the end, MJF is going over in some way.
The nod to Diesel, except for the nod to Diesel and Bret Hart.
Well, I mean, or to build up MJF versus Wardlow.
It's still about building up MJF, right?
Yeah,
and so MJF going into a match versus
CM Punk, which is how you have that go.
Yep.
Because then MJF can say, "I beat him,
and you didn't.
You couldn't." And then that feud can happen.
Yes, MJF can go to the back and be like, "See, I told you he wasn't so bad." Right?
Wardlow is gonna even help him though.
What? Maybe
Wardlow is gonna help him.
Yeah, he helped him by powerbombing him 9 times.
No. Okay, well, hold on. First of all, we didn't see Shawn Spears versus MJF yet, right? That's next week?
That's next week, yes.
That's next week. Okay, so that's gonna happen. He's gonna win. Okay. So then we're gonna get CM Punk versus MJF possibly at Revolution, I guess. Or no, Revolution's too far, huh?
Revolution's I think it eventually will, because here's the deal. Remember, you don't have to have CM Punk wrestle every week. You don't have to have MJF wrestle every week.
Right.
You build it up,
promo here, promo there.
And then you have MJF be a chicken shit heel for whoever knows how many weeks and duck him. Right? No, I'd wrestle you this week, but I'm just too busy. You know. I mean, I've already got a match against.
Lose recently to Lee Moriarty, is that right?
Yeah. No. Sean Dean.
Sean
Sean Dean, the captain, Sean Dean.
By DQ.
By DQ.
CM Punk.
Right.
Finally, a DQ loss.
Yeah. Well, and I will point this out. It was a DQ loss. It was the first DQ loss in AEW, right? And I point out, first DQ loss. There's been one other DQ, but it didn't end up in the match. It was Pac versus Omega, and it was just one of the falls in an Iron Man match. Yes. This is the first DQ that ended a match, but it's important because it also meant this DQ meant something. It wasn't just a throwaway DQ to protect someone, right? Oh, he gets DQ'd, so he didn't actually lose, or whatever. It was a DQ that meant something, and so it's important that they played into it. I will be the first to say I would have been on this show, absolutely pissed at immediately after it if CM Punk would have come out there and done all that stuff and it hadn't ended in a DQ, right? Because we need to have DQs matter. We need to have them happen. So
no, they made it work.
This was the way to have it work. The DQ finish there. But on top of it, my point is, the whole point of this feud in the long run is about building MJF. CM Punk knows it. I know it. DA Fabe knows it. You know it, JLB. And so what way builds up MJF better? Wardlow getting the win and then MJF getting the win over CM Punk eventually? Or Wardlow not getting the win and then MJF getting the win over an undefeated CM Punk? That builds up MJF even more. Because then he can be the guy who walks around all cocky as shit for 6 months saying, I was the only guy who could beat this fucker. Right? Oh, you came out. Wardlow came out and couldn't beat him. Sean Spears came out and couldn't beat him. This person came out and couldn't beat him. I come along, I can beat him, right? Because I am better than you.
It would have made MJF even stronger, though, if he beats CM Punk and then he also beats Wardlow. And
that might happen. That might happen.
No, but Wardlow doesn't have his undefeated streak anymore, is what I'm
saying. In
the
the end, for Wardlow, it doesn't matter because Wardlow's gimmick is not the undefeated streak. It was important going into this match, but his gimmick is he is the big guy, right?
Yeah.
And so MJF coming over Wardlow is about little guy versus big guy. That's the gimmick there. And this match didn't affect that at all. In fact, it still built Wardlow up because he still powered on CM Punk 9 fucking times. He had CM Punk beat, and MJF is the reason that he didn't pin because MJF said, no, do it again. He could have won that match 6 times.
It is twice about little guy versus big guy in the MJF versus Wardlow long storyline. It is for opposite reasons, big guy versus little guy. The big guy physically versus little guy physically, and big guy personality versus little guy personality, who's been shit on. I was surprised not to see Wardlow get the win via MJF coming out and returning the favor by slapping Wardlow in the face or something, which I could see doing too.
And that could have built.
But I also think that sells a little bit of the, I don't want to fuck with Wardlow. He's my bodyguard. And it is selling that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the. It's still selling it because, like, after the match, he confronted Wardlow, and for losing, and Wardlow was not having it, and you saw the fear in MJF's face for a short period of time before Sean Spears separated them and calmed him down. So this builds all of that better than Wardlow winning would have. Wardlow winning would have thrown away everything CM Punk has built to build up MJF. Because again, you have to remember this whole storyline is about building MJF. And Wardlow getting the win handicapped building MJF. Right? So you had to, but in the end, again, did you not watch that match and think Wardlow looks like a fucking beast?
No, there was, but there was but again, there was more context because my co-hosts were also mentioning. I don't recall exactly, but there was context to why I mentioned it that way because I think the co-host said they didn't like it.
I watched the entire segment. You act like I didn't. I was on that entire segment, listening to both your points and your co-host's points, and in the end, Wardlow losing the match because of MJF insisting that he keep going after CM Punk, and then CM Punk getting the wily veteran win the exact same way that Bret Hart got the win over Diesel, right?
Right.
Which was just going for a second powerbomb, not a 10th. But...
Which was, just going for a second, not a 10th.
Yeah.
But in the end, it was simply this. If MJF hadn't insisted that Wardlow do that 10th powerbomb, Wardlow could have literally put one finger on CM Punk and got the 3 count. It was
that
MJF.
Dude was definitely hurting.
Yeah,
for sure.
It was MJF that cost Wardlow the match, which this will build up.
The same moment of mercy that Diesel had with Brett. There was
where I can't even. He won't even stand. I don't want to do this, and so I don't think this is the beginning of a face turn for Wardlow. I don't think Wardlow really works as a face character, but he can work as a big guy tweener, right? Where I'm
just a big guy who understands when he's got somebody beat.
Yeah, that's my point. Kind of a tweener. I'm not a bad guy. I'm not coming out here to be a villain. I'm just coming out here to be a big guy and kick ass. And now instead of being the cocky big guy who powerbombs a person 10 times, he's going to be the guy who understands when he's got someone beat and pins them. Right? It's the same storyline they were telling with Scott Steiner when he was Big Papa Pump, where he could be the champion and he'd beat a person and he'd have the person beat, but instead of pinning him, he'd want to do push-ups and all of this stuff because eventually he got too cocky and then someone was able to pull out a victory over him because they took advantage of the fact that instead of pinning him when he could have, he wanted to show off, right? So
it's anybody who kicked out at 4 with Big King Kong Bundy.
Yep.
5.
Yeah.
4. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Or anybody who ever has pulled somebody up.
Yep.
Ever.
Exactly.
And
ever.
We've seen that recently.
Right. So the only other way they could have done this to build the feud would have been some sort of DQ finish, right? Like DFA mentioned, or even if it had just been some sort of weird thing where like CM Punk's laying in the ring and MJF and Wardlow get into an argument on the outside over like Wardlow's like, I'm not going to powerbomb him a 10th time. Look at it. I got him beat. No, you get in there and powerbomb him. And the referee is counting and gets to 10 while they're on the outside and it's a count out victory for CM Punk. Something like that. But in the end, Wardlow losing because of something MJF did was absolutely the right way to go. 100%. Because this is about you've got to build up CM Punk as this person who finds a way to win, right? As the wily veteran who finds a way to win. And you're building up eventually MJF as the young upstart who finally slays the dragon. In this case, MJF, right? So that's the only way the storyline could go. Having Wardlow win handicaps that storyline at every respect of it. There's no reason to have Wardlow actually win this match. And all the reasons in the world to have Wardlow lose in exactly the way he did.
I think it's interesting that we continue to see these throwbacks to, especially with CM Punk, to a different time in wrestling. That he throws back to this event happening or this event happening.
Well, I mean, he's paid homage to Brett twice, right? The 1-2-3 Kid with Darby. And so he's clearly a huge fan. I think he mentioned even Bret Hart was his favorite wrestler.
Well,
in an interview,
I mean, does it really surprise you that a person who claims to be the best in the world has an infatuation growing up with the person who is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be?
Right.
He was the excellence of execution, and CM Punk has always billed himself as the best professional wrestler in the world, right? Mm-hmm. In reality, aside from the straight edge gimmick, CM Punk really has always been just trying to be the next generation Bret Hart.
Yep. I do want to say,
even the straight edge gimmick, Bret Hart called himself on being clean and everything too, and he was just the go-to good Canadian and did all the right things, didn't want to cheat, So in the sense, even the straight edge gimmick works with that.
And then
except for the fact
that happened.
Yeah. Except for the fact that the straight edge gimmick was a heel gimmick.
I just gotta always bring that up. Just gotta bring up the
Survivor Series. No, I'm not talking Survivor Series. I'm talking heel Brett in 1987, earlier in the year. Remember, Survivor Series is at the end of the year. There was a whole year there.
That's valid. Yep.
So I wasn't bringing up Survivor Series. I'm sorry.
Moving on, the Sammy Guevara versus Daniel Garcia match I thought was actually a very good match, although
Really
it
fun.
did have some not quite as good moments in it. I'm not going to call them botches. They were just like moments that didn't go quite as well as they hoped. Like the first attempt at a not GTS, but GTH, which is Sammy Guevara's finisher that turned into some sort of a move by Daniel Garcia. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it kind of looked clunky. And then later in the match, when Sammy Guevara hit his GTH on Danny Garcia, you could actually see him slap his leg with one hand as he kneed Daniel Garcia so hard in the side of the head that I felt it at home. So I was like, oh, geez. But I thought it was a good match. And that's another thing that's building up, because you will, with Cody Rhodes apparently coming back this week, you will see it eventually leading to a unification match, Cody versus Sammy Guevara again. And then it's looking very obvious that whoever is the champion afterwards is going to be going against Scorpio Sky at some point.
They've been moving that forward. I will say, going a week earlier, I don't know that I've ever seen Dustin have so many gifts made about that Canadian Destroyer. I was like, holy crap. Mm-hmm. There are some people loving Dustin right now. And he's too big to do a Canadian Destroyer. Thank God he did it over to the outside and through a table, and it was literally about as safe as it could be and looked as painful as it could be.
There was another one. I can't remember which match it was. I think it might have been the Sammy Guevara versus Danny Garcia match, where they did a Canadian Destroyer, but it wasn't your typical like Canadian Destroyer where it starts off looking like a power bomb and then it flips over. It was like a dive Canadian Destroyer, and and it looked so much better because it looked like the person doing the move had developed the momentum to pull the other guy over and do it. So, anyways. The Hikaru Shida versus Serena Deeb match was really good, and it told a story, even though it was really short, because mostly was Serena Deeb beating the shit out of Hikaru Shida before the match. But it told a story, and it also did a storyline that I alluded to back in December. I thought she was going, this was happening back in December. Hikaru Shida is going back to Japan. So the injury angle to her leg is all about freeing her up to be back in Japan for the next month or so, because she's got a quarantine for 14 days. And then she's going to work some matches for Stardom. It'll be interesting. I expect with her doing the injury angle that she's going to work her matches under her old name. Was it Stardom? No, it's not Stardom. It's Tokyo Joshi Pro. Is that the one that she wrestled? Anyways. But she had a different name when she wrestled there, and I anticipate she's going to wrestle under that name to help sell the, Hikaru Shida's injured gimmick sort of a thing. But it was a good kind of middle ending to this Serena Deeb storyline to write Hikaru Shida off TV for a while she goes and does her other stuff, and then she can come back in a couple months and have her vengeance match to get her one up, back with it.
It made her look like a badass, though. So Serena Deeb looking even more of a badass. I'm all down for. I mentioned I started to really notice her, I think, at the beginning of December, and I just liked her personality when she came out. It looked like they were really trying something with her, and it's good. I can't wait to see what's next for her, because I think she's going to be one of the bigger stars, if not the next champion to beat Britt Baker.
I was going to say, at this juncture, as good as she's performing, they may be putting her in a backup plan for if they don't take the title off of Britt with Thunder Rosa. If it ain't Thunder Rosa, it's probably Serena Deeb. And I know Smarks is going to go, hey, there's still Chris Statlander there in the background. However,
Well, Chris
I
Statlander's
think they've given Chris Statlander a chance, and it'll be on the next championship.
Well, Chris Statlander's going to be entering into a program that'll probably last a few months against legit Layla Hirsch.
Yeah.
With that friendship falling apart. So you're going to see back and forth between them.
Did
So
anybody see Layla Hirsch as a heel ever?
Yeah, I was a little surprised with her being the heel in that, but
5 feet of fury, baby. What do you mean? That's all Alexa Bliss kind of style.
well, no, it 100% is. It's just that Layla Hirsch, in her entire build-up in AEW so far, has been the underdog character who comes out and smiles, and everyone loves her, and they cheer for her. And so for her to suddenly... Now, the old adage in professional wrestling is the best time to turn someone heel is when they're super over as a face, because then they get the biggest heel thing.
Ask Stone Cold how that worked out.
Yeah. Doesn't always work out, but that tends to be what they do. So,
Did the mixed tag match happen already? Or is that next week?
that's this coming week. That's Wednesday. So, yeah, it's going to be...
So it's very possible that Chris Statlander might be in that picture for a while too, though.
Also,
Right? So-
dig the hey Young Bucks, get out of the way. Let me.
Yep, introducing Britt Baker into that feud there is interesting. It also opens up the idea for the Adam Cole group to get its own name, which we already know is going to happen, separate from the Elite. We already know it's
Paragon.
Yeah, it's gonna happen with Paragon. They've filed for that trademark, but it opens it up for it to be a faction that has 2 main superstars in it, a male and a female superstar that kind of run the thing. Which then means, does Paragon end up also having Rebel and Jamie Hayter in it?
Yep. Does it end up having 2 tag teams in it?
Yeah, 2 tag teams.
Red Dragon and Young Bucks.
Yeah, so there's
Until
a lot
Kenny
of fun
Omega
ways.
comes back.
And that's
I think Kenny Omega is going to be the cleaner when he comes back.
very likely. But the thing is he going to be the cleaner and want the Young Bucks back at his side?
And that's very possible.
That's going to be, I think, where the feud comes out. I think he comes back.
I think
and
he's going to be a face. The cleaner's a heel, right? So I think he's going to be a face.
I don't think Kenny Omega is going to be a face in the near future in AEW.
Well, the cleaner can be a face in that he's taking out the heels. That is neither a heel nor face. It's I'm killing everyone.
That's what I say. I think he's going to be a heel. We've said before, heels don't have to get along with each other. Bad guys can hate the other bad guys.
Good guys don't have to get along with each other. They just have to be good to each other.
They just be good to each other. And so he can come back and still be a heel, but still be like, I want my group back. And I think they already planted the seeds to that when he was leaving. He gave that whole speech about the Young Bucks holding it down while he was gone. And Adam Cole was like, yeah, no, trust me, I'll make sure that this is. And he was like, oh, I was talking to Matt and Nick, but yeah, you do too. You help out too, and so he's gonna come back and he's gonna want Matt and Nick back at his side. And so the question is, are Matt and Nick already going to be not at Adam Cole's side? And he comes back and has them and says, now we're going to get our revenge? Or is he going to come back and have to try to win Matt and Nick's freedom, for lack of a better term?
But
either
will
way,
it be a Matt and Nick go, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be a part of a faction anymore because I can't keep friendships. Because they've now lost the Cody friendship. They've lost, there's a longer storyline you can sell there.
I think they're going to break up right when Kenny does come back anyways. It's going to be like instant breakup. I don't think he's going to try to win him back. I think it's just basically going to happen. Young Bucks turn on them. Kenny comes back.
Oh,
and
I think,
you're going to have the
there's going
Paragon
to be a title shot involved. I don't think we said on the podcast, congratulations to Lucha Express, or to, Lucha
Jurassic Express,
Jurassic Express.
First
titles.
The only downside to it is the fact that I think it's helped solidify the rumor that Marco Stunt is probably done with AEW because they had him nowhere near that celebration one way or another. But
Yeah.
But he's also singing, so
yeah. Well, he very well might be in American Idol quarantine right now and not even available. We don't even know. He even if he wasn't in that, he wouldn't be allowed to say it on social media, because they want to keep that surprise for when he's actually unveiled on the.
Yeah, but you can make
show.
a video. Hey guys, congratulations! Da, 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 when I get back,
If,
blah, 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 blah.
if he's in quarantine, he might be limited on what he can post by American Idol. Like American Idol might be like, you can't post anything that could potentially give away that you're in quarantine. And him posting even something that says, congratulations to my friends. Yeah, congratulations to my friends. I couldn't be there in person, but I want to. That then might give too much away to that he might be in. I mean, literally, these contracts can sometimes say you can't have any social media presence whatsoever while you're in quarantine because anything you post might give. I mean, here's the deal. You realize people can go through the EXIF data on pictures and figure out where pictures were taken when they post to Twitter, right? So he posts a video or a picture that says, congratulations to my best buds in AEW for winning the title. And someone looks at the EXIF data and realizes that it points to the Hard Rock Hotel in Vegas or something like that, and then puts two and two together that's where the audition rounds of American Idol are taking place. And so, he's probably there for...
Or where the people already eliminated are at,
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, fair point.
And so he might be 100% limited on what he can do. But the thing is, the more telling part is AEW not mentioning it. Is, Jungle Boy or Luchasaurus or even Chris Cage not saying, we wish Marco could have been here, but he's off. So we'll hold it down until Marco comes back or whatever. The fact that he hasn't even been mentioned on AEW TV is more telling than the fact that he didn't say anything.
That still might go to your point because they don't want to allude to people searching why isn't Marco Stunt there, either, right? So let's just not say anything.
But the last time he was shown, he did a big move, and they could really easily sell it as he's out injured. So they could just say on AEW, Marco, get better. We'll hold it down until you're back or whatever.
And they aren't even saying that.
But they're not even saying that. They're not even playing an injury angle or anything.
No, I think he's definitely released anyways. I think
persona non grata right now. So, but Rampage, of course, we've talked earlier. DFA really liked Rampage, and it was good. Adam Cole versus Trent Beretta was awesome. Sean Spears beating up a nobody, whatever, right? Statlander, Hirsch, and Red Velvet versus Ford, Rose, and Bunny was a decent match. And the fact that they were able to get a fourth match in with Jurassic Express versus Silver and Reynolds really means they packed that 1 hour pretty heavily.
Are they underusing John Reynolds or John Silver?
I love Johnny Huggy. He is
it
funny.
It's tough to not say. I mean, here I am, a big fan of Luchasaurus, an okay fan of Jungle Boy, and I'm rooting for John Silver. Not Alex Reynolds. I could give a shit less if he wins. But I'm all about. I mean, my feelings about that are the same as Smarks' feelings about Santana and Ortiz. Like, I'm sorry, Alex Reynolds, sucks for your life. John Silver, I need more of that on my TV.
The sad thing is, I think we'll both agree. The unfortunate thing is, and this is not a dig against Alex Reynolds, but Alex Reynolds is 100% the Marty Jannetty in that tag team.
Oh my gosh,
for sure.
And we want to see more of the HBK. He's good and talented, and Marty Jannetty was really talented and good, but we knew who the star from that tag team was. And we know who the star from this tag team is.
I think there were more questions about whether or not HBK or Janella was the star at this stage in their partnering than there is about Reynolds and Silver. I think Silver damn near for sure is a TNT title contender, and damn near is a world title contender. Just how over he is.
You got to make him face though. I mean, he's already kind of face with the fans.
He's the perfect tweener. Johnny Hungy just gonna come in.
The
every
Dark
time
Order
he
has
gets
been
into a
faced
match,
for a year now. They're a face team.
Every
He's a
time he
face.
gets into a match, he just clears the ring.
The kazoo. I
Every
loved
time.
Bringing out the kazoo is great.
I cannot help but think that John Silver, dang it, I don't know I don't know how far is too far to push him right now. Like, I kind of want to put tag titles on him, but I don't really want Alex Reynolds to hold the tag titles over Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. I mean, Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy as a tag I like better.
You can make John Silver and Evil Uno.
I'd love to see. No, I don't like Evil Uno at all.
You don't like Evil? No.
No. If you're gonna pair John Silver up with somebody else in Dark Order, you put him with Colt Cabana because it's that entertaining. Those are the two most entertaining people in that, barring Anna Jay and technically by association Tay Conti, technically.
Yeah.
But damn it, I think John Silver might be a guy I'd want to see beat Sammy Guevara for the TNT Championship. And does that devalue the TNT Championship? I don't know. I don't think it does right now.
He just has to be maybe a little less goofy because of how goofy he is. It's great. It's fantastic. But it also undermines his capability of being a champion too. So you have to find that perfect balance.
But I think he could be, I mean, he could be a
entertaining as hell.
Like, I don't want him to be.
I want to see more. I want him to elevate more. Like, he's goofy as fuck, which I like and I enjoy, but he has to tone down it just a bit so we can take you a little bit more seriously so you can be a better champion. A champion that can hold it for a few months or even, 6, 7, 8 months.
I would suggest that's the one thing AEW is missing is title movement a little bit more often.
Well,
in fact, I'm kind of hoping Adam Page loses to Lance Archer and then immediately gets it back. Like, immediately. Like,
yeah. I think
Wednesday to Friday.
To that argument, I think it comes down to simply this. That they're worried that at this point in their career at AEW as a whole, that too much title movement will devalue the titles. And we've talked about how we don't necessarily think that's true, but I do understand that they're 3 years old. They want to establish some things. Now, I would argue that they moved the title from Omega to Adam Page faster than they really wanted to, because they knew it was the right time to do it. I think they wanted to keep it on Kenny Omega until he was over a full year as the champion. But they knew that for Kenny Omega's health and safety and for Adam Page and for the storyline, it made more sense for it to end where it did. But I think AEW would have gladly kept Kenny Omega champion for another 2 or 3 months just to get over that year, because I think they feel that they need.
I think they have good enough wrestlers that are over that people believe in enough. Now, I do think Adam Page needs a little longer run because Adam Page is not Kenny Omega or Jon Moxley. But I think after this run, if it's a Miro, if it's a Kenny Omega getting his second one, if it's a Bryan Danielson, if it's a CM Punk, even if it's an MJF, at that juncture, I think we'll be able to move it a little bit quicker for a short while. To say there are 7 dudes in this world title picture.
I think when Kenny Omega comes back, what they should do is have it bounce between Kenny excuse me, between Kenny and Hangman once or twice,
And then
Kenny comes and wins it, and then Hangman a week or two later is able to win it back, and then Kenny wins it, and then Hangman wins it. Between those two who've already established themselves as world champions, bouncing back and forth, it doesn't hurt things.
and I think you can throw a Christian Cage in there. I think you can throw a Miro.
If you throw a John Moxley in, I don't know if I feel Miro is at the level yet. But John Moxley definitely is. So again, you've got
the reason I throw a Miro in there is in terms of the era we're talking about, where it was moving so much. The reason I throw a Miro or a Lance Archer or somebody like that in there is very simply that is your either introductory level to Kurt Angle, or your homage to, if it's Christian Cage, your homage to Cactus Jack or Mankind or to Mick Foley.
I don't have an
short-lived
issue against Christian Cage so much because he's got the wily veteran thing. I think, to me right now, Miro hasn't established himself in the main card enough yet for it to bounce back and forth.
Fair.
And so, but that's why I say you've got
certainly
Moxley.
Lance Archer hasn't.
Yeah,
but
Lance Archer.
But if MJF is in that conversation, Wardlow could easily be in that conversation.
Yeah. But
for a short stint, Wardlow cannot hold the title for a long time.
I'm not sure MJF is in that conversation right now, but that's what the CM Punk thing is supposed to do. It's supposed to elevate him potentially to it.
That conversation.
But that's why I mentioned former champions, Omega, Moxley. It bounced between, Page and Moxley. Then Omega wins it off Moxley, and then Omega wins it back off Moxley, then Page beats Moxley for, or whatever. That bouncing around, these are all established main eventer, top-level stars. You could even throw Jericho in for a one-off because he's a former world champion. He's able to come in and get a victory.
Think you can test the waters with somebody who hasn't been an AEW champion. Darby might be the person.
Possibly,
I think you can test the waters with a couple others.
Yeah, I think my point is with testing the waters, they have to be someone that you've worked up to main event caliber yet. Yeah. And at the moment,
MJF is the closest.
MJF is the closest. He's not there yet.
Lance Archer is the closest.
Lance Archer, Adam Cole is definitely very close.
He's there,
and that can play directly into the Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega comes back, challenges Hangman Page for the belt. Says, I want my belt back. He wins it back, and then immediately Adam Cole turns on him and says, "I want my shot. You, where were you the last 4 months? I was here holding it down while you were off, licking your wounds." And so he takes a shot and is able to beat Kenny Omega for it in a fire match, right? Yeah. And then Kenny Omega comes back and tries to do it, and Hangman Page is able to beat Adam Cole, and then Adam Cole beats, So he definitely works in it.
Brian Danielson, you can throw in
Brian Danielson, 100%. Because, again, not a world champion yet in AEW, but a world champion
caliber.
Well, right?
And I think once you get 5 or 6 in there, you can move it fluidly over a year's time. And I'm not talking 15 different title reigns.
No.
But I am talking not 9 months worth of his title being held.
Yeah. A month or two with one person, 2 months with the next person.
I am talking somebody could hold it for
and then
there
could
be
it
5 different
hands.
champions in a year.
Yeah.
Or 3 different champions in a year. You just start to see that fluidity, and that opens the door for the Lance Archer losing to all of these people, establishing the next tier that is not all the way there.
Yep.
Or the Miros or things like that.
Now, again, Lance Archer came back looking like he...
I think sets it up.
Yeah. Lance Archer coming back looks like he might... He's bulked up. He definitely looks swole. He looks like
he'll come out of that match looking like a monster, and again, Hangman Page will come out of that match looking like a guy who can, by the skin of his teeth, survive.
Yep. That's like the story you tell. Survive.
Do we know how much he gained? Because I feel like he gained muscle for sure, and he got fatter too. I dare to say he gained like 30 pounds.
I don't see him as much fatter. Now, keep in mind he was wearing a shirt, not
I don't know.
Bare
His
chested.
new braids are
couldn't
cool
really
as
see.
shit, though.
His braids look cooler. I was getting tired of the red anyways. But no, he looks swole as hell. So I'm excited for that.
So yeah, I just think we're getting very, very close to. There are enough high level performers that AEW can do the title switches. Again, we've said it before on this show. I don't understand WWE having the top performers in the world. And again, with the exception of AEW, nobody can deny that. And we've had it on a guy for 502 days now in one spot. And it's moving a little bit on Raw. Of course, that's the lesser product, but,
it's moving a little bit on Raw, mostly because they punted and brought Brock Lesnar in, and then we're like,
and with chicken shit matches where there's 4 guys or there's 3 guys or there's a Money in the Bank cash in. I don't want chicken shit matches. Oh my gosh, Bryan Danielson just won the championship, but oh my gosh, Bryan Danielson just lost the championship because those two are so evenly matched. It's just it's that much, man.
What happened with KO? I suddenly don't feel like I see him on TV now anymore.
He got a giant contract and now he's relaxing. Shut up.
Yeah. It's the 3-week push after the giant contract. You sign a giant contract, you get a push for a little bit, and then now that you've signed the contract, they don't need to keep you happy anymore. So you just kind of fade off for a while.
And again, you don't sign a $2 million contract and be worried about whether or not you're happy.
No, that's it. Fuck it.
They have $2 million, and if they say, "Hey, you don't have to jump off the top of 20-foot structures anymore," you go, "I'm probably okay with that for a while."
Yeah.
You sign your $2 million contract, and then you go home and spend some time with your son.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, well, on that note, I think we'll start to wrap things up here. We went a little bit longer than an hour and a half we were aiming for, but we are still a little shorter than we've been. I was gonna say, if you're listening and you want to choose which pack of these we open next, we got 10 packs remaining. So just tweet at either myself or JLB or even DA Fabe a number between 1 and 10. We'll choose one of you guys for the number that we choose, and we'll see what's in that pack, and we'll go from there. But make sure to check out the doobly-doos down below for all of the links to our merch store. Where you can. I decided to wear this hat today because I hadn't worn it in a while. So this hat or a shirt with this on it, or the Sasha Bear or the fake cop Real Pro Wrestling on a shirt, or the Raw and Order with the thing
Look at
on
all
a
those
shirt.
things.
How many times have you washed that Sasha Bear shirt?
I wash it every time after I wear it.
Okay, I mean, I'm not too, but I'm saying, okay, and the color still looks
twice
good.
Twice a week.
Yep, that's great. That's great.
At least once a week, often twice a week. Do
you do it in and out? Do you put it inside out?
I don't purposefully do it, but sometimes just the way I take shirts off, they end up inside out. So,
That's fair. Okay,
now, you put a lot
of
thought into your laundry there, JLB, for a guy.
No, but I'm saying, look at the quality still of the shirt after several washes. But at the end of the day, you don't have to talk to me about washing shirts. You could talk to me about my podcast, Real Talk Radio, at Real Talk Radio 8 or anchor.fm/RTR. This haircut is not happening anytime soon. Long hair, don't care. We still in COVID times. So you know what? You're just going to have to see me in my room and with this hair.
Up in Montreal, you guys have some slightly more restrictions than we have here, even with the surge here in Nebraska. So,
well, I mean, we're ending technically tomorrow. So the curfew is ending tomorrow, and bars and stuff like that will be opened actually as of
Okie.
Yep.
There's never been a curfew in effect in Nebraska.
No. Quebec is the only place in the world I feel that does it. You really suck. You're like Bruce Pritchard with the camera changing. Jesus Christ.
Kevin Dunn.
Kevin Dunn. Excuse me.
There we go. I was trying to go to the right people. Okay. Next one, I guess, is going to be me. You can reach me at District Attorney Vincent Kayfabe at DA Vincent Kayfabe right there. I'm only on Twitter, and that's the only place I'm going to be. So We're going to go back to our host.
With the most, you can find me at Raw and Order WBU on pretty much anything, Twitter,
Except
TikTok, and everything, except for on Facebook where I'm at Pissant Podcast. For weird reasons that it doesn't really matter, but you can get a Pissant Podcast hat or shirt at our merch store, which you can find both on the Facebook or at the link in the doobly-doo, rawandorderwbu.myspreadshop.com. So you can go there. You can find all the merchandise. You can find the autograph shirt or any of that stuff. All sorts of. You can even find one that says JLB is a whore. So.
Yeah, I still gotta get that. I just want to get that. Maybe I'll get that in a hoodie.
Yep. So yeah, you can do all of that and everything. We're gonna go ahead and close the book on the wrestling booking unit, and then we will be back in a couple days for the fantasy booking this week, which I think, with all the fun stuff and Royal Rumble coming up, I think there's a lot of fun stuff we can do. So,
you guys are gonna Royal Rumble the shit out of it, aren't you?
no, I mean,
I can already see your smirk. I can feel it, Smarks.
We got Valentine's Day coming up in not too long, so I fully expect DA Fabe to have a Valentine's Day match.
No, why would you do this? Why would you do this?
I will
Now
tell
it's
you
gonna be
this
a week
week's
earlier.
challenge. This week's challenge will, in fact, have something to do with the podcast we did tonight. It's the only warning you get.
Only morning.
Only
We did
one.
a lot tonight.
So-
We did do a lot
no.
tonight.
To get to the conversation about the shirt, I do want to point out one of the things my wife is absolutely pissed at. She bought about a year ago one of the well, it was maybe a little bit longer than a year ago, the Alexa Bliss coffee shirts that looks like a Starbucks logo with the Alexa Bliss whatever. And within 3 washings, it was starting to fade, right? And it's now almost, you can't read it almost at all. It is so bad. This thing has been washed twice as many times as that shirt has and looks way better. So the quality of these shirts is second to none. I want to point that out.
I do also want to point out the gray hoodie sweater, though. After 2 washes, it does fade a little.
Yep.
Like you almost can't see the logo. So I don't know if it's a temperature thing on my end or if I just don't do it inside out. I honestly forget by the time it's wash time. I just throw everything in there. So,
Yeah. But anyways, but on that note, we're going to go ahead and close the book. Make sure to visit tatnisco.com, link in the doobly-doos, and be back in a couple days for our fantasy booking.
And
Thank you
JLB, I'm sorry, I'm just learning the producer stuff. So
But
okay,
on that
Kevin
note,
Dunn.
thank you all for listening. We will see you soon.
bye.